In nearly all cases, when you're solving a problem using measurements, using the units is the most successful way to make sure that you are doing the problem correctly. Let's look at an example. In this example, a Toyota Prius hybrid uses 59.7 liters of gasoline to drive a certain distance, so 1.3 times 10 to the third kilometers. And we are asked to find the fuel economy in miles per gallon. So the important thing here is that we want our answer to be in units of miles per gallon. So the first thing we need to understand is that when we see the word per, that means we are dividing. So the units of our answer for this first problem are going to be miles per gallon. So I want miles divided by gallons. What I have is a distance in kilometers and a volume in liters. So miles is a distance, gallons are a volume. So I want the distance divided by the volume. So if we know what the units represent, so miles represent distance and gallons represent volume, then we know that what we want to do is take a distance and divide by a volume. So right now, our volume is not in the right units. It's in units of liters rather than gallons. And our distance isn't in the right units. It's in units of kilometers instead of miles. So I'm going to need to know a conversion factor between miles and kilometers. And if I look up a conversion factor, I can see that 1 kilometer is equal to 0.6214 miles. And I'm going to need a conversion factor between liters and gallons. And so if I look up that conversion factor, I can see that 1 gallon is equal to 3.785 liters. So I have my conversion factors. I know what I'm going to do with my numbers. I'm going to take the distance and divide by the volume. So I have a couple of ways that I can approach this. I could convert these to the right units first and then do the division, or I could simply do the division and then convert the answer to the correct units. Let's do the division first and then convert the answer so we can see how we would convert multiple units in one step. Okay, so what I want is the distance, which is 1.3 times 10 to the third kilometers, divided by the volume, which is 59.7 liters. And so if I simply do that first, I get 2.178 kilometers per liter. Now I need to convert that number to the correct units for what the question asks for. So 2.178 kilometers per 1 liter. If I write it that way, then I can see that I need to use a conversion factor which has kilometers on the bottom. So 1 kilometer is equal to 0.6214 miles. And I need to use a conversion factor that has liters on the top. So 3.785 liters is 1 gallon. And if I do that, then my kilometers will divide out and my liters will divide out, and I will be left with miles per gallon. So if we do that calculation, I get 51.2, and my units are miles per gallon. So you can see that if I just think about what units I want my answer to be in, then I know how to use the numbers that I'm given in order to get that answer. So let's look next at number 2 and see if we can solve this problem. So number 2 asks if the gasoline costs $3.90 per gallon. So I could see that the cost is $3.90 per gallon. So per always means divide, right? What was the fuel cost for the trip? So I want my answer to end up in dollars, which means that I want to be able to cancel out or divide out gallons. So what I'm going to want to do in order to solve this problem is to take the cost times the volume that of fuel that I used, because gallon is a volume. But I want that volume to be in gallons, not in liters. So I'm going to need to convert 59.7 liters into gallons, and then I can take the cost times the volume, and then I will get an answer that is in dollars. So 59.7 liters, if I want to convert that to gallons, I need gallons on the top and liters on the bottom. So 3.785 liters is 1 gallon. And if I do that division, I get 15.77 gallons. So I used 15.77 gallons in going from San Francisco to Seattle for this trip. And so now if I take the cost, $3.90 per gallon, and multiply by how many gallons I used, 15.77 gallons, then because gallons are on the bottom here and on the top up here, they're going to divide out, and my answer will be, as I want, in dollars. And so that calculation gives me $61.51. So $61.51 would be the cost of the trip.